For today's watch review, we're taking a look at the Hamilton H77765141, also known as the X-Wind Auto. Let's get right into it. Starting off with price, you can find this online for around $800 to $900. Let's do a quick 360 so we can see what we're working with here. This is an absolutely stunning watch. Of course, that's a subjective opinion, but I do really think that this is an extremely beautiful and well-designed timepiece. Here's the clasp, and there you go. For dimensions, I got a diameter of around 52 millimeters, a case height of 12.7 millimeters, and then a lug-to-lug width of 53.5 millimeters. For weight, it comes in right at around 207 grams or 7¼ ounces. Here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. Some people would faint if you showed them a watch that was larger than 38 millimeters. But for me, I actually do like these larger sized watches. For functions and features, starting from the outside and working our way in, we've got a full metal case with 100 meters of water resistance, and then 3 rotating bezels, one of them being external and the other 2 being internal. We've got 3 screw down crowns, and then a sapphire crystal, and then a day-date window, and then underneath all of that we've got the caliber H30 movement, which is an automatic movement with an 80-hour power reserve. So you take it off on a Friday, put it back on a Monday, and it'll still be ticking. It is also a hand-winding hackable movement. For lume, we've got it applied on the indices and the hands. Unfortunately, it does not last very long. It is very beautiful, as you can see on the screen, but at almost $1,000 price tag, it is unfortunate that the lume is not that good. For the bracelet, we've got a very nicely finished, brushed finished bracelet with a mill steel clasp, and of course some Hamilton branding, which I think is done very tastefully, not too in your face, and very well done. I think it's a comfortable watch. And then you also have 3 micro adjusts here. Here is the exhibition or display case back. You can't deny that Hamilton makes some very good looking case backs. You can see here on the rotor that there's some information there, and that is also used to help calculate the crosswind heading information. And that's about it for the case back. Taking a look at the crowns, we have signed crowns here on all 3 of them with the Hamilton logo. I think it's nice. It gives it kind of just like its own unique character as a Hamilton watch, and the threading is great, very easy to screw in and out, as well as these 2 bezel operating crowns. Now going over the bezels, like I said, there are 3. You've got the external bezel right here, and then you've got the internal lower bezel, and you can see through that window by turning the upper crown that moves, and then this lower crown right here operates the upper internal bezel. As far as the quality of the external bezel, this is really something very special and unique. So I wouldn't really call it ratcheting, but it is a bidirectional bezel that is not a friction bezel. I don't really know how to explain it. It's almost like it is locked in by ball bearings. So it clicks, but not in the way that a ratcheting bezel would. So it's very pleasant, and it's kind of just a cool, unique experience. As far as the 2 internal bezels go, this is where the watch gets the name Crosswind. So a brief summary on how this watch works. You use the bezels as well as information that you receive from the nearest air traffic control tower to calculate the difference in the plane's heading. So let's say, for example, your plane is going 090 or east, but there's a crosswind, whether it's pushing the nose of the plane or the tail. So you would get the information of the wind strength and direction from the tower, and then utilizing the bezels, you would then calculate which compensating course you would need to make in order to make the direction of 090. Okay, now just going over my personal thoughts. So talking about the aesthetics and the finishing and the overall build quality, this thing is a 10 out of 10. It is absolutely stunning. From that slightly sunburst blue dial to the finishing of the case and then that case back, everything about it is beautiful. One thing that I really like about it is the offset crowns, and then the main crown being on the left hand side of the face. I absolutely love that because it gives it a very unique look, but I don't know, something like rugged about it. I can't really explain it, but I always love crowns that are on the opposite side of the face and then slightly offset like these two are. Another thing that you'll hear me talk about a lot these days is the density of a watch. This one has a very satisfying heft to it. Not too heavy, but just enough to where you can feel it and that it doesn't feel like a toy or like it's just filled with air. This thing is a solid watch. Now for my thoughts on the crosswind feature. I actually would very much like to hear the opinion of a pilot and see what their thoughts are on this feature. Because for me, my experience is more in open ocean navigation on a boat. And calculating bearing corrections is pretty easy. You know, if you do it in your head, it's not an exact science, but you can get a general idea of which direction you need to go. And if you can't get an exact number, you've got navigation computers that make it so easy. So I imagine that would be very similar for a plane. You know, you probably have very complex voyage management systems that help calculate corrections in your heading in order to make a certain course. So having to unscrew these crowns and turn the bezels very slowly almost seems like it's more of a gimmick than something that they would practically use in their everyday flying. Now with that being said, I'm sure once upon a time before computers, this was a function that was used heavily in pilots. So I do appreciate that they are preserving that sort of art or skill. And you know, being able to be tied to something in the past is always a beautiful thing, especially when it comes to aviation. So, you know, I think there's something very romantic about that, very charming, and the way that they do it is very tasteful and the quality is fantastic. So I'm not going to complain. I guess I just want to hear the thoughts of an actual pilot. Now, the final verdict, should you get this watch? I think absolutely. If you have been looking at this watch and you can afford it, get it, because it is quality. It oozes quality from the heft to the finishing to that dial. You know, yes, it is a pilot's watch, but it can be a tool watch, it can be a sailor's watch, it can be a dad watch, it can be a dress watch. It's a jack of all trades, not just for pilots, because it is so good looking. And it's just a joy to wear. So those are my thoughts. I really hope that you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think, especially if you're a pilot. And you know, make sure to tune in for all my other reviews. I do have a bunch coming up. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.